Hey guys, welcome to my video example where we're going to go over the topics that we've covered, such as the sessions, view states, the data access layer, repositories, business logic layer, and just some architecture stuff, and then how interfaces kind of blends in to all of this. So let's get started. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to code my own website. I have 3 different screens, so I'm going to be looking around at different screens. But I'm just going to be coding my own website, and you guys are going to be able to follow along and just see how I'm doing stuff. So just use what I'm doing here as an example, and just for understanding. And as I go through things, I'm just going to talk through them if I think that they need to be talked about. Otherwise, you guys are just going to watch me code, and you can code alongside with me if you'd like. So let's get started. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead to my login screen here. And code a session for when the user logs in. So here we have, if the user matched in the database, if the user matches, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to create the user, and we're going to navigate to the dashboard. But before we navigate to the dashboard, we're going to want to save this user in the session, so that when we do navigate to the dashboard, the master page handling that dashboard knows that the user's logged in and it's not going to get redirected. So we're just going to go ahead and do a session of user like this, and we're going to we are going to save the user session like that. So here you can see that we're saving the user into this session called user. So then we'll save that, and now we'll go into the master page. What did we name it? System master. Sure. Honestly, I should have named this employee, but whatever. Like employee.master page. It doesn't matter. So here we have like a placeholder, is user logged in equals true. We don't need this anymore because now we have the session. So we can do user user logged in user equals user. So we're gonna cast it, and then we're gonna session, and we're gonna use that same session that we created in the login page. So now that we have the user, so we're going to check here. I wonder if this is going to throw a null. We'll check. So now we'll say if we have a logged in user, actually logged in user equals null. Yeah. So now we want to do if the logged in user is null. So if there is no logged in user, like if we didn't actually, if they're just trying to go directly to the dashboard page, then redirect them back to the login page. Otherwise, if they logged in correctly, they would have been assigned a session of user, and it'll throw it in here. So let's go ahead and just verify that. So here we're going straight into, yep, okay, cool. So that worked. We got thrown into the login page because the logged in user was null. And then password was test. Now let's try and log in. Cool. Yeah, so that works. And then if you guys want to see kind of in the back end here what's going on, Let's go here. Let's reload the page. So you'll see that dashboard.aspx got loaded, but since the dashboard is under this system.master page, the master page loads first. And so it's loading up here. And you'll see here that if I step through this, you'll see that there was never a session of user assigned. And so the session is null. So if it's null, we redirect. And then let's go back to our login page. The breakpoint here. Log in correctly. Password is test. We'll see that we get thrown here because it matched our database. Sets the session. So the session of user right now is null. You can check that by, let's put it in our watch. So here you can see that it's null. But as soon as we step through this line, boom, now it's our object and it's gonna redirect. Now when it redirects, it goes into the master page, like I said, and then we get this whole thing. So cool, everything works. I've explained it. All right, so okay. Now we also want to make it so that when the user logs out, when they click the logout button, it kills their session. So we'll go here to our logout. We'll do when the page is loaded, then we'll do session dot kill abandon. And what this does, cancels the current session, so it kills it. So now when a new user logs in on the same computer or same browser, well, it has to be the same computer / same browser. They're not going to have the same sessions. So this gets rid of any sessions and all sessions that you've set throughout that user's lifetime within that program, within your program's lifetime or session. I guess if I have to use it again. Okay, so let's just and now if it's abandoned, I don't think we have to do a redirect here. We might. See? Okay, we're going to click log out. Yeah, we're going to have to redirect back. That's okay. But look, so if I click on dashboard again, it's going to throw me to the screen, to the login screen. So so abandon the session and then redirect. Response, direct, and then let's do just log in, I guess. Okay. All right, I think that's enough for sessions. I don't think I need to view states yet. Should I get view states? The heck is this complaining about? I don't think this needs view state. I don't think my application will need it. Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't think I need it. So let's get into the data access layers and the repositories and interfaces. All right, so the way that I'm going to structure this is very similar to web APIs. I'm used to coding web APIs, and so I just like the structure. Usually you have a repositories folder. You have a business logic layer, BLL folder. You can have a data access layer folder if you want. So I'm going to go ahead and start creating those. I don't know if I'll use a data access layer. I guess I'll use it just to show it. Call it DAL for data access layer. BLL for business logic layer. So what we'll do here is we'll go into our repositories, and you'll see here that, this is from an earlier video where I showed this error. We will go ahead and create a repository for some of our models here. So let's create an interface for our model. So we can really create one interface and implement that interface into all the repositories. So like we can put a get, a post, a put, and a delete into here, which a get will just get records. A post will add records to a database. A put will modify records in the database, and delete will delete records from the database. But I think these repositories will have very specific stuff, and since this isn't really written in entity framework, doing those methods is gonna get too crazy. So I'm just gonna go ahead and create an interface for each model. So anyway, let's do. We have a mock order right now, so I guess we can do that. So I order repository. And what will this do? So we will have order. So we will do order. This will return an order, and let's do I don't know, get order by ID. Wrong ID. What? Oh. Oops. I guess, you know what? Let's go into, let's start from the top before I do this. And, well, I guess since I did that, let's just go ahead and create a class. So order repository class. And we will implement I order repository. We'll implement that interface. Okay, cool. Not going to do more with this because I don't actually know if I'm going to use this function or not. So let's start from the top. So order services. Actually, no, let's start from the beginning when the user logs in. User logs in. We get the user here. So let's go ahead and create a business logic layer here. Should we do an interface for this? Yes. Let's call this I ordered. What did I name this? I order repository. So let's call this I order BLL. Let's create one. Let's create a class called now order BLL. And again, it's because I have a model here called order, which is why I'm doing it. So the order, this is going to have a let's see. It's going to return me an order. So get order by, I think we can just do get order for now. String email, string password. Okay, this will implement that. Yeah, we're not doing dependency injections, so I guess let's see how this goes. Private read only. Global. Oh yeah, my bad. Okay. I guess we'll see how unit test goes for this. Might have to modify this. Anyway, I'll just do it like this for now, and then if we do changes for unit tests, we will. Order repository. Nope, 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 nope. Okay. Oh. Okay. So here we will go into here and we say get order by email and password. Shoot. Oh my god. What am I doing? Whoop. I actually meant to create a user one. Boy, watching this back is going to be a pain. So I user BLL. Let's create BLL class. User BLL. Do the same stuff. Oops. Yeah. Yeah, order doesn't have an email and password. Yep. Okay, so here we go. User Yeah, can't type. Get user string email string password. All right, fine. We will implement a user BLL. By the way, that shortcut that I'm doing to get that, to get this is Alt Enter. So now we implement that. So public read only, no, private read only I user repository. Wait a second, I don't have one. Go to our BLL. To implement it. And then here to get the user, we will do user repository dot right. So user, didn't I just code this? Where did I put this? Oh, it was in the BLL. User user get user, sure. String email string password. So now we gotta implement this method in a repository, and we'll just throw the error for now. That's fine. So now our BLL will call get user. We'll pass the email and the password, and we get a return. So now let's go into our login page. Here we'll do user equals so we gotta create a reference here. Private read only user BLL new user BLL. Okay, cool. So now we have a reference for this. So now we can use the user BLL. So user BLL dot get user, and then we pass in the creds that the user just submitted. Email.text.trim. So trim just takes out white spaces from the beginning and the end. And then pass that text. The user can have white space here. So now we're saying with the user BLL, get the user. So it takes us here. I just pressed F12, by the way, to get here. Takes us here. Actually, let's press Control F12 because that was the interface. Takes us here, which then this goes into the repository and gets the user. And then the repository, you can either have it go directly into the database. So in Entity Framework, you would use DB context and then you would write your query. But I think that we're gonna, instead of DB context, I'm gonna do a data access layer, and that's what I'm gonna do implement in here. So anyway, this is essentially gonna hit the database. But anyway, so we go in here, the user. So this should really be if user does not equal. So here, let's do user equals null, and then up here set that if user does not equal null. So if user does not equal null, wait, I will just yoink this though. Let's comment that out. If user does not equal null, then set the session to this user that we just retrieved from the database. Let's go ahead and create our data access layer. I'm not going to create an interface for this. I'm going to name it correctly though. User DAL. So public user get user, and then string email, string password. And this will go into the database and search for and return the user with this information. But for now, we're just gonna just mock it and go back to our login screen, copy, take this out, and then go into our user data layer and uncomment, and then return this for now. Yep. Perfect. Gotta go into our repository though. Let's say where we want to get this from. So let's make it static too. Okay, so now our data access layer is getting the information for us. Yeah, so let's say that you wanted to implement Entity Framework to get your users, right? So just a quick example. You already have the user repository interface here, So all you would do is you would create, another repository. It's just an example. User repository, I don't know, name it EF for entity framework. And then you would implement user repository. And then you would just, code here, db, context, or I guess return context that context that where, x. Oh my god, I can't write this because it doesn't know what I'm trying to do. X dot ID equals 5 or 3 or whatever, dot first. I guess this could have been 3, or I guess x dot last name equals Smith, and then toList. And an entity framework, this would actually be a task to make this synchronous or asynchronous. So anyway, and you can see like how easy it would be to swap out. And then with dependency injection, it's literally another line of code that you would have to implement, and everything is swapped out from the old repository to this new repository. So that's why interfaces and doing this sort of architecture is nice. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and delete this because I don't like it. Not doing it in any framework. Just wanted to show you guys. Although you could download a NuGet package, I believe, to implement entity framework in web forms. I have never done it, but I think you can. So anyway, let's go back to the beginning. So login.aspx. So this will hit up our user BLL, our business logic layer. It'll go into the business logic layer, and it'll go into the repository and run the get user function. And the repository will then go into the user data access layer and get the user from the database. But right now we're just mocking it. So get user. Actually, let's do this is more realistic. Users. Oh, oops. And then return users where stat email equals email and password. Okay, so now this is going to search through our list and return us the first user that it encounters that has the same email and password from our list that the user put in. So this is more realistic to what it's going to do in the database. So yeah, so now that we have all that hooked up, let's go ahead and give it a test. So let's put in the a fake password. The password is test, but I'm putting in some random stuff. Nope, doesn't work. Now I'm going to put in the right password. You can see that, you know, it's progressing through the code correctly as we intended it. So we can do the same thing here for this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I think that's about all I will probably demonstrate. Actually, no, let me show the sign up page just so I can show you guys how to do a post. Let's just close out of all the tabs. So let's start with the sign up page. So when a user signs up, creates a new user, yep. And this, we need to code this part. This to do add functionality to hit the database to create this user. So, so this is where our business access layer, business logic layer comes in. So again, private read only. I'm gonna mess up these names so bad. User VLL. User VLL. Yeah. Equals new. User VLL. This interface. And again, I don't really know how we're going to make this work with unit tests, but it will work. We'll just have to play around with it. But for now, this is how I'm going to code it. And then when it comes time to writing the unit tests, it's not going to be, I'm not going to be too deep into the code, so it's still going to be manageable to change these repositories and stuff. So we should be fine. Okay, so we got this. So now in our business layer, in our business logic layer, we want to, let's go into our, we want to be able to create a user. So when a user gets created, let's return that user back. So create user, and let's have the user pass in a user. So create user. Now let's go into our class here, implement that. And now we got to go into our, you know what, let's just start at our data access layer. So, boy. Okay, so for testability, just for now, while we're not messing with the database, I'm going to make this users list static, which means that it's, you know, once it's set, because right now, if we add, I'll show you guys. Now this is just for demonstration purposes, so when you actually hit the database, it'll be better. So don't do what I'm about to show you guys. This is just so that we can get our code to be more testable and fluid without a database in the beginning. So if you don't have a database, do this. And since we don't have a database right now, do this. But then when we start implementing our database, we will start taking the stuff out and replacing it with a database. So public, static, user, let's say create user, and the dev will be passing in a user here. So here, if we were to just create a user, like like we wouldn't be able to right now because we don't have a database. We wouldn't actually be creating it anywhere. But since we want to test it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a private static list of users and just call it users. Let's have a constructor. Wonder. Yeah. It's okay. It's fine. We'll just throw this in here. Cool. So now this get users is referencing this this users. So now when we create a user, we can actually add a user to here, and then it'll actually exist. So here, so get the latest ID from the users. So theoretically, you know, the next user here would have an ID of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so in ascending order. So all we have to do is get the last user, you know, and database would actually do this for us automatically, but since it's not, we're not using the database right now, we want to kind of mimic that. So let's get the last user and get his ID. And then increment that by 1 for this new user's ID. So user, last user equals users dot first zero last. Yep. So this will get us the last user. And then what we want to do here is user.id equals last user.id plus plus. So we want to give this user the ID of the last user plus 1. And then we want to add this user to the list. And then return this user. And now we're going to return it with the ID. Cool. Okay. So then let's go to our repository, implement create user, create user, user. Implement that here. Return user dal, create user. into our logic. So here we would actually have, we would probably pass in parameters here and let this kind of deal with the logic, but validation of the object can also be done up on the page as well, so that's fine. And then return that create user, and then create us this user. And now on the sign up page, we will do user bell create user, and then user. We don't need to return it or anything. We don't need to get the user. I know it returns a user, but we don't need it. Yeah, we don't need it. So once it creates the user, yeah. And then let's go into our dashboard here. In a new row real quick. Div class row div class call. And we'll do like just so I can show you guys welcome. Logged in username. Now when the dashboard loads, oh, here we go. Here's an example of orders of a view state. All right, so I'm using this view state of orders. Because as the user keeps deleting orders or creating orders, I need to maintain that list. And I only need to maintain that list within this page, because here you see that I have like the static list. Although realistically, I would be using a database. So I would, instead of doing this, I would actually be making a call. So I think this is going to look cleaner when we start using databases, and we'll be able to determine if we actually need this view state or not. But for now, it's there. Anyway, so whenever the page loads, we want to set this logged in user's name, because if you guys remember, we're storing the user's session whenever they log in successfully. So now when they're logged in and they're on the dashboard, we have their information because they logged in successfully and we saved that session. So we can set their name on here. So whenever the page loads, let's go set page data function here. So what did I call this? Logged in username dot text equals let's do user session of user. We can do dot first, Okay. So now let's test signing up, logging in, and this dashboard. That's the dashboard. Uh-huh. Okay, cool. So now we are on the login screen. So far, you guys, the only email that we've had is this one. But so now I've made the ability to sign up. So let's do Joe Smith at gmail.com. Password is going to be ASDF. Sign up. Okay. Joe Smith, ASDF. Now, why didn't that work? That should have worked. Get user. Let's just start there. Whoop. What crazy logic do I have going on? Okay, we have to create this user again. Sign up. Joe Smith at gmail.com. ASDF. Okay, yep, I don't care. Joe Smith, ASDF. Okay, yeah, oops. We don't need that anymore. Because now we're accessing our data access layer. So, yeah. All right, we got to create our user again. Joe Smith. ASDF. Okay, what's up now? So now we're in the user BLL. Now we're in the repository. Users, you can see that there's two users here. Here's Joe Smith. Oops, wrong ID. You know, this is... Not sure why. Oh, yeah. Oops. But anyway, why is this not getting it? Oh, it is getting it. Okay. By the way, my my code here to set the ID is not correct. But it's working anyway, but it's not correct. I'll have to fix it later. Anyway, so now let's traverse out of all this. This does have a user. Okay. Cool. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit play, and we should be logged in. And now you guys can see here that it says, welcome Joe Smith. But why didn't it log in? Oh, it didn't log in on the sign up page. Because it wasn't setting the session. Okay, I do need to return. I do need to return the user and set that session. But anyway, you guys can see here that, you know, it greeted me, welcome Joe Smith, and it took this name from the session. So that's how that worked. Yep. So this will set the session so that when it goes to the dashboard, it's not going to kick it out back to the login screen. Okay. Okay. So that's it for the users and creating users. Now I'm going to demonstrate how much time. We're an hour in. Let me demonstrate orders real quick. So we're going to do the same stuff that we did for the data access layer, for the user's data access layer. So by the way, Joe Smith is now gone because the application restarted. And so anything that was statically available before, when I stopped the application, it stopped. So, but if we were using a database, it would still be there, and I'd be able to log in. So, FYI, let's log in as password is test. See, so welcome to Stone Pisa. And that's grabbing it from the database, but the data access layer right here. So, but from the session. Okay, so let's replace, you know, because this is getting a count of orders, so we'll want to do the same thing. We'll want to create a data access layer, repository, business logic layer. And then, yeah, just the same stuff. Yeah. And then this will, okay, yeah. So let's do that. So I'm just going to try and create most of this stuff quickly. Already got that. Okay, cool. Accidentally made almost everything. Let's go into our dashboard. We have a service object, right? Yeah, so we'll just want to take out the orders. Oof, this might get messy. Service. No, I won't because we have the services implemented here. Nice. Okay. So let's just take this out of there. This will have an error. It's fine. Orders. Let's make this a static class. Paste that in here. Private read only. Bring all that stuff over. Put it in the wrong spot. Take this out. Put it in the class. All right, cool. So now we have that. So now we'll want to do get orders. I think that's fine. We could use this for like multiple stuff. Public list order get orders. And what this will return is it will actually just return the orders. And we're gonna imagine that this is from we're gonna imagine that this is from the status actually coming from the database. So here we will actually write a query to retrieve the data from the database. Anyway, get orders. So we will go into our here. Let's get rid of this. Get orders. We won't have to pass anything into it. Take this out. Implement this new guy. Return order del get orders. Oh, oops. Now we want to go into our business logic layer. And here we will want to do a decimal get get money collected. Get money collected. So let's implement it. And then here we will want to bring in the order repository. Order repository. How did I do it here? Did I create a? Yeah, I did. Okay. All right. And then BLL will do order repository dot get orders And now it's just going to do some business logic to get that data. So you could use link or you can use a for loop. It's like a one-liner with link, but let me do both ways. So what? Get money collected. Okay. And we'll replace this with order repository to get orders. So this is how you would write it. So let's actually get rid of that function in here. Now we're going to get another error right here. But anyway, this is how you would write a for loop for it. You could also do something like this using link. Return repository, get orders, where X and then get the sum of the total. And that's how you would write it. Might have to list here. I don't think so. Anyway, that's how you would write it in one line using link. So, but I already have it like this, so that's fine. Yeah, so now all that's left is to implement this in the dashboard. So we removed this function from the actual dashboard, and now we're going to replace it with our business logic layer. So private read only order BLL. Now we can utilize that. Is this returning a decimal? Wait a second, where did I? Oh, okay, yep. Yep, okay, it is returning a decimal. Good. So now we will replace that old function with order BLL that get money collected. And then we have to string the text. And then this we can replace, let's write just a regular good old get orders. Implement this. And this will return just return this. So now we go to our dashboard. We do orders BLL dot get orders. And yeah, that's it. So now we just replaced our our money, our money collected with our BLL that utilizes the repository, that utilizes a data access layer. So if everything works on the first shot, I'd be surprised, but let's see. It should work. Yep, there you go. It's loading it up correctly. It's loading the count up correctly. This is not in our. Actually, yeah, this is taking it from there too, I think. Yeah, it is, because it's taking it from the view state, and the view state got loaded up from the data access layer. So actually all this is now being used. Let me just double check. Get orders completed. So when the page loads, we're setting the view state of orders to that of the database. So, by the way, this is actually why ViewState is good, because I'm only loading the data once from the database. I'm only hitting the database once for data. So that's very good. And then I'm just utilizing the data in the ViewState. So here you can see money collected. Yeah, I guess here I could use a ViewState too. I could pass in, I could have a business logic layer that you pass in a list of orders, and it returns the money collected out of them, because our list of orders is here. That way we don't have to re-query the database here. So that's one way you would actually optimize this if it was going slow. But this project is small, so I don't really care. But if this was a bigger application that had latency issues, that's how I would or performance issues, that's how I would address that. So anyway, so that's getting that. The order count is coming from get order count function within this page, which is getting it from the view state, which we already know is getting set by the database data access layer. Orders completed, probably same thing. Yep, from the view state. Let's see our order details grid. It's getting it from the view state. So everything that you're seeing on the dashboard is now coming from the data access layer. So so there you go. I mean, that's how easy it was to switch everything. Simply because I'm using a view state. Yeah. Let's see, is there anything else? But later on, I should replace this. I should take these functions out of here, from the page, and put them in the business logic layer instead. Whether I pass in the list of orders that I wanted to do the operation on, or whether I wanted to just re-hit the database again, is really up to you, or up to me in this case. But I would be utilizing the business logic layer for this. Anyway, I hope that you guys learned something from this. I hope it was helpful, and yeah, let me know if you have any questions. If you like this video, hit like, and if you want to be notified for any future videos, you can subscribe to my channel. All right, thanks. Have a good day. Bye.